Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening, or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share, and play.
Hello. All right, today I am finally doing my 2022 Doodle Challenge. This is being done by Leigh and Julie over at Leigh's Art Studio and Art and Junk Journals with Julie. So go and check out their channels and check out the hashtag, which is hashtag 2022 Doodle Challenge MAR for MAR for Emma, for MAR for MAR, MAR for March. All right, so back to looking at what I'm doing. Here, I actually used a gel plate and I pressed it down onto the paper instead of the paper onto the gel plate. And I started out here by just tracing around the shapes that were there. Here I'm adding a few lines and dots. I'm pretty much approaching this as just a pattern, and I kind of felt like there were those three sections. So I decided to do three sort of different little themes. All right, now see this circle thing here that I'm doing? That is a pattern or a motif or a motif or a motive. Don't know what's a motive for, but anyway, I use that circle a lot. A little flower. I am just playing. That's all I'm doing here. I'm just mucking about. I'm playing. I love doodling. I think it can make paintings look better. I think it can help you get more confidence. They say that writers should write every day. And I feel any sort of artist, you should really do some art every day. And doodling is a great way to relax, to have fun. Some of the stuff you come up with, you can't believe it. It's like quite a lot of my stuff is so childlike. Other things, I'm like, wow, that actually looks like something some professional would do. But you can't get there unless you start, unless you give it a go. This is something else I tend to do a lot of. I do lines and then I do patterns within the lines. Dots are fantastic. If you do dots really close together, got to have a fish. Everyone needs a fish. Do you like its big lips? I don't know. It just felt like a fish needed big lips there for me. And some seaweed here. I worked out. See, I'd never done those little figure eight leaves before, but they really looked like twisted seaweed to me. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, dots. If you put the dots closer together, the space will look darker. If you keep them a little bit further apart, the space will look lighter. So you can kind of add shadow just by using dots, and you can add some weight. So see how I've coloured in some of the seaweed there? That just adds a bit of contrast. And this, I was trying to draw one of those shells, really didn't succeed. So then I just covered it up with more doodles. That's what I love. You just keep playing and keep mucking about. There I did some larger dots, some circles. I love circles to fill in spaces as well because you can alter the size. I really like how they almost look like cobblestones. And while I try not to think too much about my composition, when I'm colouring things in, adding more shading, I'm kind of working out what feels right. Okay, so here I've gone onto a finer pen, I've gone onto a thicker pen here because I was using the 01 before. This is actually a pack I got off, what do you call that place? Off eBay. And then I've gone to the 1 to fill this in because it's a bigger pen. So if you're filling in big areas, go for a bigger pen or a brush pen. If you're trying to do fine detail, go for a fine pen. If you don't have that, just seriously, just go to your kid's pencil case and just grab what is ever in there. You know, my kids don't use the pencils anyway. I don't know why they take pencil cases at school. Everything's on computer now. So, but then again, my son didn't even take his computer for months and months, and no one noticed until about a year later. So, hey, well done, everybody. Right, back to the point. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, Doodle Challenge. So I've done a few different drawings in this. I love doing silhouettes. I find I can do a silhouette of something a lot easier than I can actually do the thing itself, not all blacked out. It feels like an easier way for me to do it. Here I'm just pretending that's like a bit of sun, and pretty much voila. So all I'm doing is adding a thicker line underneath just for a bit of a shallow, add a bit of contrast. But again, this is just playing about and just practicing with different shapes. I love it. I'm so glad Leigh and Julie have done this. I really hope lots of people just give it a go. Some of my earlier ones are dreadful and some of the ones I do now are dreadful. However, it doesn't even matter if it doesn't turn out, because these are just fun to do. They get you familiar with your materials. And I think just that alone, the chance to actually play with your materials, get the feel of the pens in your hand or the paintbrush or whatever you're doodling with, that makes a real difference ongoing if you get used to that. Then I decided a bit of a border all the way around and a bit of a squiggle. Mr. Squiggle. Oh, wish that show would come back. All right, finally on to the next one, because I really didn't know what I was going to say there. Sorry, you'll probably get a little bit of noise in the background. I've been holding off to do this voiceover because my younger lad, my one who is non-speaking, he's been home, and so it's hard I can do the video because he'll often do some art along beside me. However, it's never quiet, so it's hard to find a space to actually get some voices in. And I didn't want this to just be music on this particular one because I feel like there's a lot to explain. But of course, now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, you know what? There's really not a lot to explain. This is just basic play. I guess there's a little bit of technique that you learn, but whatever you do will be different. And those of you who are experienced, I'm sure, will really agree with me. I find that really agree with me that you'll learn, and whatever you do, like whatever else it was, just sit there. But I find I start with a thinner pen usually, and then I'll thicken it up with a thicker pen. Helps me kind of lay out and plan. This one I felt like I wanted something that was a bit more landscapey, floral kind of feel, because it kind of felt like flowers were coming out of that green section there. And I actually don't mind how these turned out. I'll be putting up another video either later this week or next week. The other video has how I just did some basic painted backgrounds where I used acrylic and watercolour just for the backgrounds, and I did them really predominantly green. And then I'll just show you the finished result of the doodles that I did with those. Every time I tried to film them, something went wrong. But I thought, look, let's not waste them. So I am thinking that I'll put them up anyway. However, I really liked these little ones. I feel like the big white border around the page, I just love doing little lines for stems. See how that adds a bit of definition, just a slight bit of weight, but it's not as heavy as the fully blacked out one. That's what I try and do, just to add a little bit of difference and contrast. And if you're watching other people, it's really fun just to see the kind of shapes that other people come up with. And it's okay to copy that, because however you draw it is going to look completely different. So some of the techniques I've copied from those people who are really precise, and I can't be precise. I'm messy and wonky. I really like little wonky images and, off-center things. So there's no way it can ever look the same on mine. So I actually encourage you to have a go if you like the look of someone else's, and you'll see that whatever you come up with will be different. I promise. All right, so as you can see, I did a few backgrounds because whenever I get the gel printer out, it's always so much fun. These are some other flowers. I love doing these kind of flowers. And on this particular page, there were dots. Now, I didn't like the muddiness of this background. In the end, I can't believe it, this is one of my favourite ones. So I decided to do a floral motif on this one. There's my really simple little tulips. I think that was from someone really famous. Oh, roses. They're so easy to draw. I love them. Like Courtney Cerruti or, Pam Garrison, one of those people. Anyway, I have a few different kinds of flowers that I tend to go to, and sometimes I'll make up something along the way, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. But yeah, I just find squiggly lines seem to make roses, so I go with it. However, back to what I was saying, I did not like this background. I did not like how muddy it turned out. I thought, well, I'll give it a go. It's one of the ones that I've done. In the end, I actually really loved it because it ended up looking really vintage, and I was quite surprised. So that's taught me something else. Just by mucking about with doodling, mucking about with paint, not doing anything special, but putting a doodle over something that I thought was a failure and then ending up with something that I really, really, really liked. So I do lots of different things with my leaves. As you can see, I'll often do lots of different ways, often do those little stripes just down one side. Here I added some colour with the yellow brush pen, and I used the brush pen to write grow. And then I just had it's like a burgundy colour brush pen, and gee, that goes nicely with the green. And just some white to add a few highlights to that muddiness. And yeah, I feel like that's one of those, to me, it looks like one of those old faded vintage kind of pictures. So I will be using that as a journal card, or I might even scan it in and use it as something like, I can't believe it. I am now, and see, once you add that around, don't you reckon that looks cool? I mean, you might hate it, but I love it. There's the other one, and I thought, yes, I must add a little bit more to that because I just haven't played enough. And I do think that actually helped just give it a bit more balance. All right, so here's the next one I'm trying. But yeah, I am in a bit of shock actually because I am now over 200 subscribers. I am really sorry to everyone who's subscribing that you've had to put up with me at some point, but I feel really blessed. I feel so honoured, and I'm really so thrilled that so many people are joining us. I really hope that a lot of you are out there doing your own work. I know a lot of you are. I always try and go and check out if you've got a channel, and I love to look at everybody else's creativity. All right, here's my little failed attempt at an elephant, but I think the African sort of tree didn't work out too badly, so that was okay. But yeah, I really appreciate everybody who's been here from the beginning, and everybody who is new, welcome. And I hope you find some value here, and I hope it inspires you to do your own work and you have some fun. It's all a little bit zany and disorganized here, but yeah, enjoy. I love cross-hatching. It's very rare that I don't do some cross-hatching and things. And I felt like this felt a little bit tribal, sort of African or something with that tree. So I kind of always feel like these sorts of lines with the patterns in them, they remind me of drums and those kinds of wonderful sculptures and things that you see. Not so much probably in modern day, but I'm going back a bit. Anyway, that was my little ode to that. Now, I think I mentioned earlier that you'll see a lot of these kind of circles in whatever work I do because I just love the little patterns and I think they look effective. I use them as suns. I use them as coins. I use them to fill in a space. I use them a lot. Yes. Just in case you hadn't noticed. And swirls, dots, cross hatches, circles, just love it. Now, I'm actually doing this on my lap, which was probably the main reason that I had problems filming this. Yes, so I'm doing it on my lap because that is how I'm more comfortable doodling. I don't tend to do it at a desk very often. I generally will sit in front of the telly or something. I know you're supposed to focus on what you're doing. I find that really, really hard, and so I just usually muck about on my lap. And here are some of my scribble flowers, and I did a scribble face and, Nothing rocket science, so I just felt like finishing off with a little bit of a scribble. Used to do those kind of flowers. Oh, they're probably the first flowers I ever did. I used to find it really hard to do the simple 5-petal ones that you do around the centre. Anyway, so then I'm just adding more pen to darken it up. And there's a completely different one to the others. So I tried to do, some that were different to each other. Again, here are the little finished results of those main 4 I did. I hope you enjoy. You can like and subscribe below. And as always, keep creating. See you next time. Bye.